Okay, so today I'm going to be working on an Xbox One controller. This belongs to my son's friend. He'd given it to me to try and clean it up because it had a lot of stick drift. Took the entire thing apart, gave everything a really good clean, cleaned the joysticks with IPA and cleaned the potentiometers, flushed them out with some deoxit, and that worked really good. And I'll show you here in a second. I'll get this hooked up. There we go. So I'll bring this up on, give me 1 second, and bring this up. So as you can see, circularity, not too good. We'll get rid of the circularity test for right now. And gotten rid of the drift on both of the sticks, except right stick's definitely not centered. You'd like me to center that. So that's what I'm planning on doing today, is putting in one of these drift controllers. See if I can get a better view of that for you. Been wanting to try these. Basically, I'm using this just to center the stick. I am going to be replacing the joysticks in here, but I'm not using his for practicing on. That's why I actually picked up this one here for myself. As you can see, it's in pretty bad condition. This right stick is totally shot, and the left stick is going to obviously be replaced at the same time when I do this. And I'm also going to be replacing the USB connector on this one because it is loose and it's pretty much damaged. So this will be the one that I'm practicing on for changing the sticks. What I'll be using, trying out for the first time also for that, is one of the desoldering iron attachments for my 245 handle. We'll see how that works. But for right now, all I'm going to be concerned about and working on is putting this in to try and get this centered. So unfortunately, with the Xbox One controllers, you can't use the Microsoft app for calibrating the sticks because that only works on series controllers. This being a one controller, it doesn't support that. And another unfortunate thing, even though I found out through Rusty Rust Repairs and MK Fix about a really good program for updating the firmware so that these show up as a series controller. This model number here, if you can see, is too old and the firmware cannot be updated. Luckily enough, with this one here, it's a newer controller. Yeah, this one, the 1708. This can be updated to the firmware, so this will show up as a series controller. This one, unfortunately, not. So even after I replace this stick, if it is out of center and I can't calibrate it, unfortunately, I will have to use this, which is what I'm going to be putting in today, just to center his sticks. I wanted to try these, and we'll see how that works. Alright, so for opening up the Xbox One controller, there's actually 5 screws that have to come out. There's 2 under this shell, 2 under this shell, and 1 underneath this sticker. I found the best way to get the one out from the sticker, I hate ruining the stickers, is to actually heat up the sticker. You don't need to use a hot air station to do it. You can use just air dry will work just fine. Heating it up in slow circles, just enough to loosen up the adhesive. That way you can get pair of tweezers or something underneath so that you're not ruining the sticker. That way you'll be able to get that one out. I already have the one screw out from underneath that sticker because I am going to be doing some more work on this, so I don't want to keep pulling the sticker off all the time. One thing is with these, all 5 of them, they are Torx screws, but they're security screws, T10 screws. So let me get the microscope in here and I can show you what I'm talking about. If you look down in the center of that Torx screw, you can see that there's a little stub inside of there. That there, you need to make sure that your actual bit has the hole drilled into it. This one here is from my iFixit kit. You don't need to buy the iFixit ones. You can actually buy these at most hardware stores, like where I am here at Canadian Tire and Home Hardware. You can get security Torx bits to remove it. For getting these off here, what you'll want to do is grab yourself a spudger. That way you can just separate in between the 2 pieces of plastic and basically work your way around it. It's going to sound pretty crunchy at first, but especially if it's never been opened before, this one has been. So I'm just going to quickly go around, lift all this up. There we go. And now it's cracking open. And there we go. So once you have that cover off, you can see where the Torx screws are here. We have one in the top corner and one in the bottom corner. So basically just pop those out. Might have a better view from top camera angle. There we go. So you can see where the Torx are in here, and basically those will be the 5 screws that are holding it together. I'll be back in a second after I get that open. Once you have all 5 of the screws out, remember the one underneath the label in the battery compartment, and you can lift off the front, and now you're actually into it, be able to pull out the joysticks, sorry, the thumbsticks. These thumbsticks have already been replaced. Let me switch over and I'll show you how bad the other ones were. Yeah, if you look, you can really see all the wear and tear on these sticks. That was causing a huge problem with centering on the joysticks. As you can see by these new ones in here, they are a little bit dirty, but there's no groove in there. That groove that was in there would have been worn away from just running on the shell as it's going around. So now that we have it open to this point, bring it back around. You can slowly lift. Let's get a better view. So you want to be careful that you don't break the wires on the rumble motors while you're trying to do this. Now we can slowly pry it out to lift the bottom shell off. There we go. So just that little pull back is enough to lift the bottom shell off. So now we have the bottom shelf gone, that bottom shell gone. Now we can flip this over. This is the one here that's not centered the right stick. So if you look over here, the actual connections are for the joystick. That's what we'll be putting the flex board onto. So take a look at this, and I'll be back in 1 second. So before I go any further with this, one thing I want to do, as you can tell, these things keep flopping out. I'm just going to take a bit of tape. It doesn't have to be Captain tape. I'm just using, I have Captain tape sitting right here. I'm just using that right now to hold that rumble stick in. The other one seems to be alright for now, but I don't want to tear those wires on the rumble motor. So now that we're in here, we can come over to the microscope. Right, so here's the view under the microscope. I'll just show you right now what we're looking at underneath the microscope is right here. This is where the joystick is connected, all these solder points here. So go back to microscope view, and if you take a look at the actual flex board, it does have all the cutouts for lining everything up. So you have the 3 points here for a potentiometer and 3 points here for the other potentiometer. So when you lie this down, you'll notice there's adjustments here, screw adjustments for adjusting the potentiometers. Like I said, this isn't going to be fix. Right now, I'm just using this to center the sticks. And once I've practiced on the other one, then I will be putting new joysticks into this one. But as I said, I'm not going to be practicing on somebody else's equipment. So now that we have that lined up, I'm hoping that I don't have to actually use any flux on this right now. One thing I might want to do is put some leaded solder on here. So let's just pop this up for a second and let my iron heat up. Let's see. I want to see how easily this will melt. I've got my iron at 350 right now, and as you can tell, that's not doing pretty good. And this is this iron that I'm using right now is a 245 handle, which is a very large size. So let's just try adding a bit of solder here. Yeah, that seems to be, yeah, that should definitely help. And yep, so all I'm going to do right now, I'm not worried about all of the points for the joystick. I just want to do the ones for the potentiometer to have it lined up on there. So we'll go to these three as well for the other potentiometer. I know they're a little bit blobby, but like I said, this is going to be coming back off once I change the joysticks. Yeah, that's not working too good. Maybe I should actually heat up the pin, that might help. Okay, next pin. Yeah, that's definitely too much solder on there. And again. Okay, that should be pretty good. Yeah, this is way more solder than I was hoping to have on there. Let's clean off my tip. Try again. See if we can get a bit off of there. Okay, that should be good for now. Get the flex board. Okay. So, if I can see what I was doing. There we go. Okay, looks like I didn't use too much solder. A little blobbier than I'd like. So right now I'm just gonna try and tack it down with the solder that's there and see if I can do it without adding any extra solder. Get it lined up. put a bit here to tack it. Just want to tack it down for right now before I start adding any extra solder. Let's try this one. There we go. Okay, so that one's tacked down now. Push this down. Yeah, I'm thinking I should be using a different tip for this. Maybe the conical one wasn't the best. Give me a second. I'm going to try changing over to the knife tip. Alright, I've changed over the knife tip. Hopefully this isn't going to be too big. I guess I could do a few of them at the same time with this one. There we go. Yeah, might be a good idea for me to... Definitely don't want to have these touching each other. Make sure that there's no bridges between these. Yeah, knife tip seems to be working a little bit better. So, add a bit more solder. Stab some in there. Alright. Yep, seems to be good. That one heated up. Oh, sorry, you guys can't see that. Just realized it was out of frame. Yeah, I'm also trying to get used to this new soldering iron that my wonderful wife and kids got me for Christmas. It's the AFN A9E. Okay, that's way too much solder. And come in with a bit of solder wick, try and fix up my mess. Try and get some of this out of here. That's better. Just give that another bit of a reflow. Okay, so like I said, I'm not going to be actually soldering down these points right here. It should work for centering it right now, as long as I make sure that there's no bridges on the potentiometer. Sorry about the shakiness. Okay. So that should be good just to do a test. That's basically all I want to do for this. I wanted to check out what these were actually like quality wise. I've seen a few people use them. I've seen them center their sticks with them. So start putting this back together. First thing, I'll take the tape off of here that I was using to hold the rumble motor in, and we'll put the thumbsticks back in. Oops, there we go. So there's the one for the right and one for the left. We'll get that in there. Okay, so what we'll have to do before we test it out and adjust it, make sure that front cover's on so that it'll be working properly like that. We can flip her over and we'll go into gamepad tester. So let me open that up. So actually it's looking a little bit better already just with that in there. Let's take a look. So left stick and right stick. Okay, so now is where we can do the adjustment. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so now we can try adjusting. Unfortunately, I'm not sure exactly how to set it up so you guys can see what I'm doing while I'm sharing my screen. But potentiometer, I'm going to be slowly turning it. As you can see, I'm turning it to the right now to try and get it centered. Try and get it as close as possible. So we've got that pretty much centered. And the opposite one will be bringing it up to top on center. So that's looking a lot better than it was before. Let's try moving it around, bringing it back and forth, seeing how it works, and try a little bit more adjustment. So y-axis almost centered, so now we'll go to x-axis, bring this in, try and get it close to center. Okay, give it a move around. So that's definitely better than it was. Okay, so let's test circularity. Oh, it's hard to do this upside down. Not too bad. Considering all I did was put the flex board in just to center it. This one here, the left stick, is the one that I didn't put anything on. This one here, the right stick, is the one that I put the flex board on. Has gotten it pretty much centered. So let me go back and show you what I was doing. So all I was doing was, let's go back to the microscope. Was just taking a screwdriver and slowly turning these potentiometers. And that's all I was doing for adjusting these centers. So you have your X and Y axis, slowly turn those and it centers it in. So hopefully that helps somebody. Like I said, I will be actually replacing both of the sticks in here after I've practiced on this one. This is gonna definitely need a bunch of work. This will be fun. So I'll be working on this next. Actually using the soldering tool that I picked up, if you can see that. So that'll be fun trying that out. We'll see how that works. So that's it for now. Thanks a lot. Appreciate you watching. Hopefully it helps somebody, and have a great day.